Hey, it's Nikki Llewellyn, and you're on Gut Plus Science. This podcast is on a mission to increase engagement at work. And on this show, we equip CEOs and people-first leaders of all levels to make impact. Let's get to it. Hey, Gut Plus Science listeners, I don't think I've met anyone with more passion and fire for both inclusion, valuing the uniqueness of every human, and her jam, which is coaching new and emerging leaders, than Bono. Anne helps build new and emerging leaders to create a human-centric future of work for themselves and their teams. Excited to share with you. Take it away, Anne Bono.
Well, hello there, new and emerging leaders. It's Anne Bono here, your leadership coach, ready to demystify your leadership philosophy, boost your management superpowers, and run alongside you as you become an empowering leader and a terrific people manager. And today, we're going to be talking about a topic that is near and dear to my heart, and I have the battle scars to prove it. We're going to be talking about the small but crucial differences between leading and managing. And the reason we're going to be talking about these things is because there are a few items that I wish somebody had told me when I first started in leadership and management many, many moons ago. I wish that somebody had told me back in those days when I first started that leading and managing people wasn't easy. I wish that somebody had told me that leading and managing were actually two different disciplines, two different skill sets, and that I needed to exercise and get better at both to really be as beneficial to my team as possible. I wish somebody had told me that leading and managing combined would be the things that should take most of my time with my team. But the thing of it is, nobody tells you those things because everyone assumes that leadership and management are just things you pick up naturally. The thing is, y'all, spoiler alert, they're not. So I royally messed up the first time I was given a team of folks to manage, and my job today is to ensure that you absolutely do not follow in my footsteps. So let's start at the very basic level and start with the definitions of management and leadership. Management is the transactional administration of your team, their tasks, their training, and the work that they do on a daily basis. It's essentially about empowering folks with the skills and guardrails to execute their role successfully. Often, what that ends up looking like is ensuring that people are onboarded properly, ensuring that they are coached in their role, ensuring that they are constantly upskilled in what they need to do so that they can then self-serve and truly execute their job successfully and in a way that drives business goals forward. Management, in a nutshell, is about empowering folks to execute against a strategy that benefits the organization as a whole. And how do we define leadership? Well, if you think of management as the transactional nature of ensuring that your team has the tools and support to get their job done, you can think of leadership as creating the environment in which people can do that and thrive. So what does that look like? Well, that looks like making it safe for people to experiment, making it safe for people to fail and learn from their mistakes, making it clear that people are going to receive the information that they need in order to do their job successfully, and creating an environment of transparency and contextualized information. It looks like presenting yourself authentically so that you give the agency of authenticity to the people on your team, and they also feel safe to show up at work as their true full selves. A logical question would then be, so why do new and emerging leaders need to focus on both of these skills and both of these disciplines? And that is an extremely valid question. And the reason is this. If you only focus on management, you're going to potentially have a team that is very productive, but doesn't feel connected to you or the organization or overall goals, and doesn't necessarily feel safe to show up authentically and fully at work. And that actually ultimately affects happiness, retention, productivity, and dollars and cents. And if a leader focuses only on their leadership skills, you might have a team that feels very closely connected, but isn't really empowered to be able to do their job effectively or to really tie their goals and what they are doing to the overall purpose of the organization. By focusing on both leadership and management and ensuring that they work hand in hand, you're essentially not just empowering to do their job well, but to also feel safe and supported in doing so. Now, trust me, I know this sounds like a lot. If somebody had dumped these very large, almost abstract concepts on me when I first started leading and managing people, I would have been extremely overwhelmed. So why don't we break it down into 3 things that you can start focusing on to foundationally work and improve on your management and leadership skills. Let's start by discussing 3 concrete things that you can do to start building upon your management skills today. The first one is the one-on-one. So what is a one-on-one? The one-on-one is a meeting that you schedule with each one of your teammates individually, and you do it on a weekly recurring basis. The length can vary. I've used 30 minutes, 45 minutes, or 60 minutes. It's really up to you and your teammate to decide the length that works best. If you don't know, start with 30 minutes and see where it goes. Here's the thing to keep in mind. This time is not for you or your teammate to go over lists of tasks or to-do lists or prioritizations. Rather, it is a time for you to determine how your teammate is doing in their role. And you do that by asking questions. Try some open-ended ones, like these. Are you happy with your role? What are you most challenged by right now? How can I help you remove roadblocks? The idea here is to move beyond the minutia of the transaction and take it up one level to actually ask how a person is feeling about their role and their contribution to the company and team. And here's one final tip. While you should own the scheduling of the one-on-one, your teammate should be the one to own the cancellation of it. That way, they know that they always have that time set aside with you to discuss anything that might come up. You never cancel it, but you do schedule and own it, and they are the only ones who can cancel that meeting. That way, that time is held sacred for that discussion between the two of you always. Okay, here's the second foundational managerial item. Focus on deciphering how your team receives and uses information. Here's why that's important. Because humans all process information differently. Some people will need time to digest and process information before they can contribute fully to a team or meeting. Other folks are great at thinking on their feet. Some people need to receive things in writing to be most effective, while others can just listen to an idea and provide immediate feedback. So how can you figure that out with your teammates? It's relatively simple. I used to watch how people reacted in meetings. I would look to see who contributes immediately, who needs to rate things first, who needs time to focus on the information before they can comprehensively provide an answer. These are the clues that are going to help you determine how to communicate with people. Pay attention to what works for each individual and your team, and then look to provide information in a way that helps most people. This can be a little more complex, so we'll go more into how to do that in a future episode. And here is the final building block to have a strong managerial foundation. Get comfortable with giving feedback, positive and negative. That positive in-the-moment feedback will help reinforce what you and your team need to do more of. And that negative or constructive feedback will help you and your teammate figure out what you tried to do, how it didn't work, and how you and your team can improve upon it together. Now, let's tackle 3 foundational building blocks for leadership. Let's start with a crucial one, getting to know your team beyond their titles. Doing this increases empathy between you and each of your teammates, and empathy is the foundation of trust. And here's a bonus that ties into a managerial building block. The one-on-one that we talked about earlier is a terrific place to do this. Get to know your teammates beyond their role in that one-on-one. Get personal. Ask them about what they are worried about. Ask them about how they feel. Ask them about their family and any challenges that they may be facing outside of the office. Focus on getting to know them as humans instead of just as people on your team that perform a role. If you're stumped on how to do that, just think about how you talk to a friend and do that. As it happens, the one-on-one is also a great place to do the second building block of great leadership, getting comfortable with being vulnerable. Try asking this question in your next one-on-one. It's a great combination of courage and vulnerability, even if the answer might feel scary. I know it did for me the first time I asked it. Okay, here's that question. What is the one thing you need from me to be successful that you are not currently getting? And here's the third and last leadership building block. Get comfortable with not just giving information, but knowing the context around it and how it will affect your team. I call this contextualized transparency. and it helps build a culture of trust and collaboration based on information and value. Start learning how to communicate with your team, not just the how and what of what is happening, but also the why. Okay, that was a lot, I know. So here's your challenge for the next month to bring it all together until we get a chance to talk again. Schedule a one-on-one with each one of your teammates. Start with 30 minutes and end that one-on-one vulnerably. Ask that scary question I posed earlier. Get to know your teammates beyond their roles. Ask some questions and get to know them as people. Let them lead that one-on-one. Hold the space for them to answer those questions. I would love to hear how this is going for you. You can find me on LinkedIn and connect with me there. Find me under Anne, A-N-N-E, Bono, B-O-N-O. You can also find me on TikTok. I love that platform. Find me at Leadership Coach Anne. I hope to see you there. We'll talk soon.
We just left the world a little bit better. Now go do something with it.